you are being a blessing to the needy, you are what? The Bible makes us understand that anyone that gives, to the needy is giving to God and will what? Receive back from God. So we should know that the reason God is putting the money in love. You can reach out to that person in love. That's the reason God is blessing you. God is not blessing you so that you just build your savings and investment and have a big portfolio. No, that's not the reason. That's not the reason. God is blessing you so that when your brother has I think it was yesterday, I was reading the account of the early church in Acts chapter 2, and I saw that one of the reasons that the early church experienced rapid growth was as a result of their generosity. If you read, towards the end, I think somewhere in verse 42 to 47, you see that the Bible makes us understand that everyone that had something, they were willing to give to others. Some of them even sold their lands and distributed the money to the church. They gave to those that were in need. They were willing to help others. And that was why the church kept growing. So if you want to keep growing financially, you need to understand that the reason God is giving you that financial blessing, that financial wealth, is so that you'll be a blessing. He told Abraham, I will bless you in verse 3, and you'll be a blessing. You'll be a blessing. And that's the way we lay down our lives. In 1 John chapter 3 verse 16. 1 John chapter 3 verse 16 to 18. 1 John chapter 3 16 to 18. Look at it. It says, hereby perceive we the love of God, because he laid down his life for us. Can you see this? It says, and we ought to lay down our lives for the brethren. We ought to do what? Lay down our lives for the brethren. You don't only lay down your life for the brethren by praying for them. It's good to pray for the brethren. Hallelujah. It's good to preach to the brethren. Hallelujah. But it's not enough. You lay down your life for the brethren when you see that you're proud of what you have, and do what? Give to your brother. One of the things that they emphasize on the early church is equality. No one was up and the other one was down. Every one of them, they were what? They were equals. You can use my tin. I don't have a problem with it. Everyone, had their needs supplied. Why? Because, they were ready to lay down their lives for each other. So I'd like you to hear this. And please take note. The measure you are ready to be a blessing, level of financial prosperity. Proverbs 11 verse 24. God is looking for kingdom distributors. He says, there is that scattereth, and yet does what? Increaseth. He says, and there is that withhold them more than is meet, but what? It tended to poverty. Yes, let's read on. It says, the liberal soul shall be what? Made fat, and he that watereth shall be watered also himself. It says, he that withholdeth corn, the people, especially the needy, he that withholdeth corn, the needy or the people shall curse him. It says, but blessing shall be upon the head of him that does what? Sell it. So the person who is ready to distribute will what? Experience more and more blessing. But the person who decides to hold, there's an illustration that pastor always uses for us. He will give you, he'll tell you, this phone is in my hands. As long as I receive another thing because my hand is occupied, will never what? Run dry. So be a distributor. Be a distributor. Be a distributor. I'd like you to turn to your neighbor and tell your neighbor, be a distributor. So please don't be an accumulator. Be a distributor. That's the way. Everything that God has created has a way of giving out.